The Man Who Would Be King is an adventure film directed by John Huston. Based on the novella by Rudyard Kipling. The film, released in 1975, is a classic tale of ambition, adventure, friendship, and hubris, set in 19th-century British India and the fictional land of Kafiristan.
The film tells the story of two British ex-soldiers, Daniel Dravid and Peachy Carnean, who decide to leave British India and establish themselves as kings in the remote region of Kafiristan. Armed with their wit, cunning, and British military experience, they aim to use the locals' belief in prophecy to take over the region. After gaining the trust of the local tribes and leading them to victory against their enemies, Daniel is mistaken for a god due to a Masonic symbol he wears, which aligns with local mythology. Initially reveling in their success, their plans unravel as hubris and Daniel's decision to marry a local woman lead to their downfall. The film concludes tragically, with Daniel killed by the locals and Peachy returning to recount their story to Rudyard Kipling, who acts as the narrator. Cast: Sean Connery as Daniel Dravid, Michael Caine as Peachy Carnean, Christopher Plummer as Rudyard Kipling, Saeed Jaffrey as Billy Fish, their loyal translator and guide, Shakira Kane as Roxanne, the bride.
There is no place on earth too forbidding. There is no adventure too dangerous to dare. There is no dream of wealth and glory too impossible for the man who would be king.
Film budget estimated at $8 million. Box office approximately $11 million worldwide. While not a major box office hit, the film gained critical acclaim and has since become a classic in the adventure genre.
As they try to capture a whole country, a scheme for rascals to become royalty in the long-lost land of Alexander the Great. Rudyard Kipling's The Man Who Would Be King. They share the treasure. They share the danger. They share the adventure. Sean Connery, Michael Caine, and Christopher...
The camaraderie between Sean Connery and Michael Caine was palpable, largely because they were close friends off-screen. This added authenticity to their portrayal of Dravid and Carnean. Originally, Huston envisioned Humphrey Bogart and Clark Gable for the lead roles in the 1950s. After their deaths, the project was shelved for years. Paul Newman and Robert Redford were also considered before Connery and Caine were cast. The movie was shot in Morocco to recreate the rugged terrain of Kafiristan, with impressive attention to detail in set design and costumes. The film explores themes of imperialism, greed, and the clash between Western and indigenous cultures, making it a thoughtful critique of colonial attitudes. Shakira Kane, Michael Caine's real-life wife, played the role of Roxanne, Daniel's bride. The climactic sequence of Daniel walking the rope bridge to his death is one of the most memorable scenes in the film, symbolizing his tragic fall from power. The film's score, composed by Maurice Jarre, enhances the epic and adventurous tone, with traditional elements that evoke the exotic setting. The Man Who Would Be King is widely regarded as one of John Huston's finest films and a high point in the careers of Connery and Caine. Its blend of adventure, humor, and tragedy continues to captivate audiences, and it is often studied for its commentary on imperialism and human ambition. Positive criticism. Sean Connery and Michael Caine received universal praise for their chemistry and performances. Their portrayal of the ambitious yet flawed protagonists brought depth and humor to the story. Critics especially noted Connery's commanding presence and Caine's charm. John Huston was lauded for his ability to balance adventure, humor, and tragedy. His vision, honed over decades of filmmaking, gave the movie a timeless quality. Many appreciated how he captured the scale and mystique of Kafiristan. Filmed in Morocco, the stunning landscapes and authentic set designs contributed to the epic feel. The rugged mountains and expansive vistas brought the fictional Kafiristan to life. The screenplay, co-written by Huston, stayed true to Rudyard Kipling's novella while enhancing its dramatic and cinematic appeal. Beyond its adventure roots, the film is a thoughtful exploration of imperialism, greed, and the consequences of overreaching ambition. It critiques colonial attitudes subtly, making it more than just a swashbuckling tale. Many critics highlighted the unforgettable scenes, such as Daniel's death on the rope bridge and the moments of tribal reverence mistaken for divinity. Negative criticism. Some critics noted that while the film critiques imperialism, it still operates within a colonial framework. The portrayal of the locals, at times, borders on stereotypes, and the civilized versus savage trope remains evident. A few viewers found the film slow in certain sections, particularly in its build-up. The deliberate pacing, while adding depth, might not appeal to those expecting a faster-moving adventure. The film has been critiqued for its Eurocentric lens. Despite being set in an exotic locale, the focus remains primarily on the British characters, with the locals serving more as plot devices than fully realized individuals. Some felt that the story's outcome was predictable from the start. The themes of hubris and downfall, while powerful, left little room for surprises in the narrative. Roxanne had minimal development, and her role as the catalyst for Daniel's downfall could be seen as reducing her character to a plot device.